Hello YouTube Nation, this is Ron from RTR Gearheads. Today Junior and I are going to be putting the new spark plugs, which are the Platinum versus the Iridium, and the new oil cap with the gasket on it into the 2010 Mini Cooper, and see if that will fix the drivability issues. We still haven't received, and should be this afternoon, so hopefully when I get home back here I'll have it, the actual PCV diaphragm, and hopefully either get that in this evening or maybe sometime tomorrow. But again, just want to let you guys know we're up to like 153 subscribers. Please go ahead and hit that subscribe, like button, bell for notifications. That way, you know, it's supporting us. That way we can keep getting content up here for you guys. And definitely like some suggestions from you, also recommendations on the projects we're working on and possibly future projects. Right now we're trying to clear the garage out because we have certain things lined up. Junior, I think we'll probably talk about some of them later in the video. But cross your fingers. We started simple diagnostics. Join us on our journey here with the Mini Cooper, and thanks for watching. Hey, it's Ronnie with RTR Gearheads. It's been a couple days now waiting on parts to deliver. We're back here with the Mini Cooper. Simple stuff today. We know the oil cap's a problem and we know the plugs are a problem specifically now. Pretty sure the plugs that were put in this car roughly about 1.5 years, 2 years ago were Iridiums, and they're supposed to be Platinum from the factory. So that's potentially a huge problem right there. And then looking at the oil cap, which we'll show you here once I get these plugs swapped over. Definitely a difference. There is a gasket that's supposed to be there that seals it when it's fully on, which without it, it's just creating basically a huge vacuum leak directly into the top of the motor. So best to just get that swapped out. We would have just replaced the seal itself, but I'm pretty sure from the seal not being there through a couple oil changes now, that the little ears on the oil cap are a little bit shaved down and don't completely want to seal either way because the cap gets stuck on there even without the seal. So all we're doing, kind of the same thing we did the other day where you saw us just diagnosing it, but this time it's just replacing the parts we're putting back in instead of the diagnosis putting the old parts in. And then taking it for a little test drive, and then with the scanner hooked in to see what the actual live data is showing. Yep, we're gonna watch for the misfire monitor. From that was the most important thing. Before, it was showing even at idle, cylinders would get 11 misfires, some would get 4, some would get 2. If you hit the gas in it, everything went crazy, and the misfires definitely jumped up. So definitely explains a lot of the problem. Again, in that previous video, you can see where if we move the cap to where it was somewhat sealing, it got better. But if you had it completely loose, it barely wanted to run at all. And if you were to hit the gas and try to move, it almost wanted to shut off on you. So definitely a safety hazard to both the owner and other people on the road. For sure. Ratchet. Crack these loose here. Alright. Yep. Ah, yes. Dielectric grease too. Dielectric grease should be over on your box. My box, either in my electrical drawer or right up top. Just gonna crack them loose here. We'll take them fully out with the gun after that. Just don't want to mess up the threads. So you always break them loose by hand no matter what. Same with when you start to thread them. Now we don't mess up threads because at that point they're pulling ahead and nobody wants to be doing that any day of the week.
When you pull them out, when you go put the new ones in, can you put the old ones in the box in order so we can mark what cylinder they came out of, please?
Yep. Do you have a Sharpie with you? So I can mark the boxes? We are just marking them, even though the other day they all looked realistically the same as far as carbon buildup, fuel, anything like that, just to kind of know if any other cylinder is having a problem itself instead of all together.
I know that number 1 was looking like it was running a little lean.
Yeah, which is the one I have, which if you look here, we have our new one over here, the platinum. We have the iridium right here, I believe would be on your guys' left. But definitely easy to tell the difference. Thankfully, we had the correct gap, and these tips aren't completely gone yet. But I had a feeling that pretty soon they would have been. And we do have different, yep, right here. So the new ones we're putting in are platinums. I don't know with the glare if you guys can see that, but the old ones were iridium. So at startup and at brand new, it won't make the biggest difference, but once the car gets up to temperature, you get a couple miles on it, etc., etc., it will make a difference because the difference in metals is for the burning temperature. How cold they are, how hot they are, how they will perform under load, and how they will perform just over time. So that is also probably a secondary issue. Oil cap, I think, was number 1, but the fact that the wrong plugs were used in this to begin with.
Which was probably what was available locally.
Yeah, it was available locally, and the shop that he took it to before, they weren't the dealership, and unfortunately, they may have just not known. They probably thought iridium is the higher quality one, that's the one to use. Probably didn't know it was supposed to take platinum from factory. So, not necessarily, I mean, it's not the owner's fault at all. It's not particularly fully the shop's fault, but when you're working on these European vehicles, they're made a certain way for specific reasons. They pay engineers to design them multiple specific ways for a reason. And again, like this old one, the first 2 cylinders definitely were more black. This one looks more as if it was running a little bit lean. You've got a little bit of carbon on it, but definitely looks more lean than anything. Probably again because once they heated up and got some drive cycles on them, the material used for those just don't hold up as long, don't perform as well. So either way, misfire or not, it was still performing under what it should have been, which is over time causes a bigger problem. So even without the oil cap, we probably would have seen this vehicle anyway for a misfire issue.
We might have to stir that anise though.
Yeah, probably. So we've got all of them out. They're all where they came from in these boxes, just so after the fact we can look at them if there is another issue and see where we should go next. But again, I don't think there will be. 2 things that we are going to use with these plugs. One being anti-seize, just a little bit on the threads. You don't need to go overboard with it because you don't want that going inside your motor. But it'll help the next guy. Yeah, which will probably be us, ironically. But it'll help the next guy to where these things will not be overly tight inside of there. They won't seize, because that as well, if they do start to seize and you let it go too long, go to take them out, and you'll get all the particles from that.
And depending on the material of the head, it might actually pull threads.
Yep, could pull threads, which I believe these are
I'm not sure if that's an aluminum head or not.
I thought they were aluminum. They might not be though. But again, we're only just going to put a little dab on it. You don't need to rub it into the threads or anything. I see a lot of people do that and get it all over their hands for no reason. The threads will do the work for you. As far as that goes, and you want to make sure when you're putting these in here, you get as far down in as you can. That way on their way down, they don't accidentally nick something and close your gap, which they are preset gap. Where'd you get these from? FCP? FCP Euro?
FCP Euro.
Yep, we did order all the parts from FCP Euro. It's not sponsored in any way, but with Dad's BMW and other European vehicles we've worked on, they're the best source of OEM parts with the best shipping too.
And price.
Definitely price, just to get a better deal on there.
Like we mentioned before, we did have to get the PCV diaphragm from Amazon though. That didn't arrive yet.
So that hadn't arrived, which that still may make a difference when it comes to the performance of it. Either way, at 127,000, I believe this is at, it's not a bad idea to replace it.
You done with that?
The anti-seize, yes.
There's your dielectric.
So what I'm doing with putting them in is I'm just hand threading them. I know I used the gun to take them out after I loosened them by hand. As far as tightening, you shouldn't be taking a gun to them. Because even though everything's machined to a specific specification, you don't ever really know, because no one ever's going to really research what motors are interference motors, which ones are not.
Which ones have aluminum heads?
Yeah, which ones have aluminum and which one don't. You're still good. Yep. And what'll happen is, I've seen some people, not particularly on Europeans, but other vehicles, like Hondas, Mitsubishis, I've seen people use guns to turn spark plugs in, and they're ever so slightly so far in. Now granted, there was other underlying issues, I'm sure. They go to start it up, and the top of the piston smacks the bottom of the spark plug.
Or the cross threaded going in.
Yep, or cross threaded going in, which either A, will end up good for the next 100K because you won't know it, or B, there will be no threads to hold it, and the second you hit the gas pedal or even start it, it's going to shoot that spark plug right back out.
And end up costing your head or something.
Head gasket, every piece that needs to come off to get there, and at that point, you're still doing other work because now you ran a motor without a spark plug in it. But now that we've got them tight, we're just going to take, you don't want to He-Man them. I'm sure there is a specific torque specification, but either way, you just
snug them down.
Snug them down. And once you feel it stop like this, just give it a little, just a little bit. You don't need much.
One ugga dugga.
Yeah, one hand ugga dugga is the exact torque specification we're going to use here. There's literally a sticker on it that says chili red for the color.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. As long as you know you got them tight, you really don't have to go in and check. You can drive it for a couple miles and just double check it. We probably will in this instance. Just because, but as I'm turning these in, that little bit of anti-seize is just kind of coating everything to prevent anything from building up, especially with all that carbon that you saw in the first two. But again, you just want to keep it as clean as possible. The internals of your motor, especially up top, that never see fluids or oil or anything like that, they should never get dirty. It should always look clean, whether it's got 2 miles or 2 million at that point.
Now with the dielectric grease, he's not going to fill the coils. He's just going to put a little bit in the boots.
Yep.
In order to keep any moisture out of the connection between the boot of the ignition, the coil pack, and the top of the plug.
Yep, we're just going to dab a little bit right on the edge. That way, when I push it onto the plug, it'll just coat the top of the plug a little bit, go around the ceramic, and you won't have a problem later down the road.
Possible misfires again.
Yep, possible misfires. On the recent video of doing the tip-em in the Dodge, we actually used some dielectric grease on the bottom of the connections. I think we had that in the video for you. And also right before then, I actually did a tune-up on that, which that is a 16 spark plug motor. So if you can pay somebody to do it, you might want to at that point. It's not exactly fun, but I also use dielectric grease on those spark plug boots and the coil boots for the same exact reason, because about, I think, 4 or 5 of the old boots tore inside of the cylinders when I went to take them all out, and that made the day about twice as long as it should have been.
Standing on a cinder block.
Yep, standing on a cinder block, leaning over the hood in the cold. I actually think that was the week I was out of my previous job for COVID too. But it definitely needed to be done. It was creating a lot of misfire issues, kind of like this. And come to find out, it was because someone used the wrong plugs in the motor when they did it before I owned it. So it's just every vehicle, look up what your spark plug should be, look up their gap. Some gaps will make them not even start. Some metals, they'll start for a little bit and then it won't start again until you swap them back out.
Like he spoke about manufacturers paying engineers to figure things out, that gap's there for the optimal spark. Too wide of a gap, obviously you're going to have a weaker spark. Too narrow of a gap, too thin of a gap, you're going to have too much spark and end up burning the diode out, and during the process, fuel economy and everything like that.
So always look up your specifications, because even though some jobs like this, it's simple, where it took us roughly 8 to 10 minutes to do that. Other jobs, like my Ram.
Show them the oil caps after you get done, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Like my Ram, it took me all day. Granted, some of that was because the boots tore, because somebody didn't do some preemptive stuff when they did it last time. But yeah, it just takes more time. Right gap, wrong gap. You always want it right, that way you don't have to do it again. In this case, it'd be easy to do it again, but you might cause damage to the motor if you run it on the wrong stuff. My truck, I'd have to align a whole another day of work just to do it again, if it was the wrong material, wrong gaps, everything. So, only other small change here, we're still waiting on that PCB, like he said earlier.
Show them how loose the original oil cap was.
Yeah. So you got the original cap that was causing a problem. Go to put it in. It's just loose, spins around. You can get it to kind of sit tight, but even though it feels it, it still has a huge air gap right where this gasket is living. On this one, I'm fairly certain someone did an oil change, and this cap probably got stuck like it is right now, where they had to work it off. And then that gasket got lost in translation somewhere, which that creates a vacuum leak. That gasket missing, even if I had this sitting on tight, creates as much of a vacuum leak as a disconnected brake booster would create. So with this one, you just line it up. Upside down. You spin, and it actually locks into place right where it's supposed to be, lines right up, looks pretty, and it's not loose, and it doesn't have that giant air gap in between this little surface here. With that air gap, you're gonna run like crap, especially when you go to hit the gas on it. It's gonna create more pressure in this valve cover and probably even work the old one loose. For anyone who's looking, because I know they're a little weird to find, most BMWs do use this style, Mini Coopers, stuff like that. Part number right there from FCP Euro. I believe that also matches up to the BMW part number and the Mini Cooper part number.
Is 111-275-421-16, and if you see right there, it actually has the BMW and the Mini Cooper emblem.
You buy some cheaper aftermarkets, which Amazon is not like that. Amazon is reputable dealers just marketing on Amazon.
I'll tell you on that. You have, again, like I told you when you buy that diaphragm, PCV diaphragm, you just have to check the seller out. I bought one for my BMW, an oil cap. And no, I'm sorry. It was a overfill, the coolant overflow tank, or expansion tank as it is on that. And the one I bought from Amazon said genuine BMW part, da da da. When I got it, it didn't click how it was supposed to. It's actually keyed to set a certain way on there, and kept overheating. I'm trying to wonder why, and lo and behold, I went on to FCP Euro and actually bought a expansion tank cap for my car, which is a 2011 335 XI. And once I replaced that cap with a quality part from FCP Euro, there's a couple out there, there's OEM Beamer also, no more problem at all.
Yep, again, it's not sponsored by FCP Euro. You know, if they ever happen to see this video and they want to, that'd be awesome, because I'm pretty sure Dad here is lining up to do the water pump on his BMW again. which I'm sure he will want to put out a video on. And we'll try not to cuss as much as possible in that one. But
that one was bad. If you look up the videos to do the so on that motor, it's got that car's got an N55 in it. So it is twin turbo. It is also all-wheel drive. If you pull up a video to do the water pump on those, which is external, it's divorced from the motor. It's electric water pump, and the thermostat is connected to it, also external, all controlled by the computer. All the videos show 335i's, which are the rear-wheel drive version of the XI. The XI is a little different in the front. There is a subframe or a cross member under there that is a lot thicker than the one on just the 335i rear-wheel drive. We're probably going to cuss a little bit, swear a little bit when we're doing that one, but like Ronnie said, like Junior said, we'll try to refrain and keep it to a minimum.
Yeah, so look out for that video. I don't know how soon he's trying to do that one, but it will be up here soon. We will get back to more videos like the Trans Am, the S10, possibly the Civic soon. We have a video on the Ram coming up at some point for
the long bed,
some fuel issues. We also have another S10 that
it's like an 83 or 86 long bed.
Yeah, same generation as mine, same square body. It was bought as a truck that I believe that owner who we used to build some trucks with was going to use as a drag truck.
When I was deployed, it was undercover at his house. My Trans Am was. A tree fell, almost crushed the T-tops and the roof in the Trans Am, but his vehicle, his other first gen that he was going to build for a drag truck, caught the brunt of it and crushed the roof of his car. So we actually got that for him to replace the one that got crushed. He's decided down the road he's going to actually the same gen as my green one, the one with the 350 TBI in it. He's got a white one that's got a 355 in it right now. He's actually gonna build that for a strip.
Yep.
truck.
So we acquired the long bed. We kind of had it the whole time, but we just don't have space here currently. It will be here shortly. That one's going to be getting built, so we'll have some awesome content for you on that one. It's not going to be a full build. It's kind of going to be like a quick thing, get it running, get it driving. Definitely off of the 4-cylinder it had.
The thing with that one is it's going to be nice because sorry, Ronnie.
You're good.
We're using a small block Chevy 305 motor to put in there. The transmissions we're going to be using are either a TH350 or TH400, but they're not the Chevy bell housing pattern. They're actually the Buick Pontiac old bell housing bolt pattern. So we do have an adapter we're going to use, and by doing that we'll also cover some of the spacing of the torque converter, which is required when you use that adapter.
Yep, so we're going to have that video, or that truck, hopefully figured out here shortly. My S10, we're pending on doing the bodywork to make the rest of it the same color as it. Still some drivability things that need to be kinked out, oil filter, permanent location, transmission, whether we're just going to swap it to a 3-speed one or leave the 2-speed and just get the current pan to seal completely on it. And then we do have interior work to do on that, which I plan on doing a video once all the stuff is accumulated for that for a full interior. But then the Trans Am, we're figuring out some clearance stuff there. So we will get back to the American or more revival, restoration, hot rodding side of this. But you know, to keep the lights on, keep everybody moving, we want to help people out, do stuff like this, get other people's cars back on the road kind of as a service side for sure. But you will be seeing that content. For now, shout out to FCP Euro for good parts with decent prices. Again, not sponsored. Maybe later in the future we can be, wink. But for now, we are going to take this on a test drive, see how it runs, and we'll be back with you.
Alright, YouTube Nation, Junior's in the car, he has a scanner hooked up, he's going to take it for a ride. He will actually have some video of the ride in here also. So go ahead, Junior, start it up.
I got you in the car now. We've got our monitor hooked up here. That's our misfire monitor. Basically, it'll tell us as we're driving if anything's gonna have a problem. I'm gonna put you up here. Or I'm gonna hold you because it doesn't fit. We're gonna drive. On startup, we don't have any. Go in reverse.
Here he goes for his test drive. We'll get back with you guys shortly after we drive.
Back out. You see Pops there. He's recording me driving. Not going to show you here. You know, can't show you where the headquarters are. But we're still going. No misfires. Gonna pull forward here. Avoid some puddles. We have no engine light. Actually don't know where in this car it's supposed to be. I think it's supposed to be up here. No engine light. 125,000 miles, like we were saying earlier. So definitely more. That PCV is definitely going to be needed anyway. All right, we're going to turn out, and already it feels a million times better. When Dad was driving, this thing was stuttering like crazy. We're even on cold start right now, and we're not having a problem. But no stuttering is happening whatsoever, which is a good. That tells me that this cat should hopefully be okay. We were a little concerned that this cat was going to be bad, given the mileage, and I believe he also tried a fuel induction service in this vehicle as well. And I've heard horror stories about that. There's certain brands you can use in certain increments that are okay, but there's a lot. I've actually performed some. A couple years back, there was actually a shop fuel system induction cleaning that was promoted at a lot of shops. It was actually too much for the cars to handle, and it was actually clogging the cats because it was actually too good at what it did. It released all that carbon and shot it straight into a cat all at once. Alright, let me put my seatbelt on real quick. Don't drive without your seatbelt, kids. Yep, we're turning here. It didn't stutter whatsoever. We still are showing no misfires on our scanner here, which is constantly monitoring the live data. We're going to kick into it a little bit here. It kicks down. Not a single hiccup. So, seems to say that even a very simple problem can create a lot of issues. Unfortunately, we don't have a video of how it was driving before. Because Dad didn't take a video, which that's all right. If you can imagine a 15-year-old dog trying to walk up a flight of steps with breathing problems, I don't know. Find whatever insert analogy here of something that cannot breathe or doesn't want to move. And that's what this thing was doing. And now we're driving completely normal. No lights on the dash, no issues, no hiccups, slowing down. There's no bogging or anything like that. So fair to say a combination of the spark plugs and that seal on the oil cap, it was creating just an enormous vacuum leak that was causing so many problems. But anyway, again, don't always go into the too in-depth stuff when it comes to your diagnosis. Always start with the basics. That's one of the main things that I was taught in this field. One of the main things that anyone will try to teach you if they know what they're doing. Start with the basics, even as simple as popping your hood and checking everything you can see just for simple looseness or anything like that. So we are going to get back to the shop here. I'm sure Dad's going to have an outro for you guys. But this was Ronnie with RTR Gearheads and with Auto Inc. Signing off. Have a great day, and always start with the basics.
Alright, as you saw, Junior's on his way back. He is actually back from his test drive. You guys heard what he said during the test drive, and we definitely stand behind that, so that way people aren't going out and spending a whole bunch of money. Like, for example, the diaphragm on this, not needed yet. It might have a pinhole. Said he didn't have issue with it with the test drive, but if you were to go full diagnostic on it, you would end up spending $400 for a valve cover when, like we said before, it was a $30 part. You just couldn't get it from the dealer. But this is Ron and Junior from RTR Gearheads and Auto Inc. Well, YouTube Nation, hopefully you liked the video. As I discussed in the introduction, it's starting simple. That is the issue. That was the issue. Junior took the vehicle for a test drive. I'll actually be picking it up tomorrow and driving it home, so we'll know for sure, since I was the one that drove it originally. But going off of what Junior told me and looking over everything, no codes. The only thing I got on Junior about not having a seatbelt on. But if you look in the video while he's driving, you'll notice that there is an exclamation point on there for a warning. The left fog light is actually out on the car. I meant to take the bulb over there when I went to the garage earlier and totally forgot it. So when we go ahead and put the diaphragm in tomorrow, we'll also go ahead and replace that light. But right now, seems like everything is good with it. Give my friend a call, reach out to him, and let them know that for right now, the car seems like it's doing a whole lot better than it was. Driving like it should be now. Junior's analogies were pretty much correct. When I pulled out a road, a side road or back road, where I live onto a main road, it literally felt like the car died. And on my trip over to the garage for us to work on, diagnose and work on, if I come to a stoplight, I'd have to put it in neutral. Light turned green, I'd have to put it back down and drive, let it drift forward a little bit, and still it would hesitate like crazy. Like Junior says in the video, start simple things like, I had a feeling it was a vacuum leak anyway, and then we got the P2187, lent to it more, and I was figuring vacuum lines. The vehicles do have a lot of vacuum lines, possible PCV, which, like Junior said, you know, with the mileage anyway, we're going to go ahead and replace that. So the owners don't much have to worry. When it comes down for that, it's already done. We're saving the parts for them. The reason Junior numbered the boxes, so when I give them back to the owner, he can keep the plugs in the garage in a bag with the old parts in case he doesn't come back to us. He's out on the road or for convenience purposes, go somewhere else for any future services. Because I think for us, I mean, we can change the oil in that car with no problem, do the service on the cars. It is a hobby for us though, so keep that in mind. It's nothing right now that's taken off to where we're getting licenses and stuff for it. It's just a hobby, keep me busy right now, keep Junior's mind sharp. But again, like I said in the intro, 153 subscribers. I'm getting some comments here and there now, getting good feedback from the viewers. Did notice though, 100% of our viewers are male. Get some female viewers also. I mean, not anybody looking for the knowledge of the vehicles, because a lot of times we go to shops and go to get your car on, and Junior keeps talking about diagnosing minimal. Start with small stuff. For this particular vehicle, think about it. If somebody took it to the shop, if he took it to Mini or BMW, their first recommendation would have been, you need a valve cover. Well, that's $400 right there. Oh, you need plugs also. You need coil packs. You also need the PCV line. Oh, and on top of it, you need an oil cap. All that'll add up, and the average person that uses vehicles just to commute in and drive, okay, the dealership says this is what it needs. They'll get away with that because by replacing the valve cover, you'd have the oil cap, you'd have the PCV valve. The plugs, the car would have still run with those plugs, but like Junior mentioned, they're iridium, not platinum. The ones that are in there now are the ones that are recommended for the vehicle. The shop that did them originally went local and got what was available local for the customer's convenience. They didn't have the opportunity to go online and order them from FCP Euro like we did. Did the research and found out that's what the manufacturer calls to be in that vehicle. There might not be that much of a difference between the platinum and iridium, but manufacturer called for those particular plugs. That's what we're going to put in there for optimal performance. Engineers figured what parts go where and why they're there and what's needed. So we want to stick with that. Running off here real quick. But anyway, it's the videos aren't just for males. Anybody who actually takes some knowledge from them and help them save some money or possibly figure out the issue with the vehicle now that you're looking at the videos. Watch, view, subscribe, like, hit the notification button. Again, this is Rob from RTR Gearheads, and Junior helped me from Auto Inc. He's also RTR Gearhead, but Auto Inc. also. Thanks for watching, and thank you for your support, and we'll have some more content up shortly.